Most parents would do just about anything to protect their children from being bullied. But would you encourage your child to have plastic surgery? My young guest Renata had plastic surgery with the help of the Little Baby Face Foundation, a non-profit organisation that specialises in these types of surgeries for children. Also joining me is Renata's mother, Michelle, and Dr. Thomas Romo, who's the founder of the Little Baby Face Foundation. Welcome to all three of you.
Thank you.
Renata, let me start with you, because you're why we're all here. You were unhappy with the way you looked. Why?
Well, it was because everyone always said that I looked bad, and I started to believe it, so I didn't like the way I looked.
And you were being bullied by other kids?
Yeah, at my school.
What were they saying to you? How were they bullying you?
They were just laughing behind my back all the time, and they said, "Oh, that's the girl with the big nose." They never called me by my name.
And after a while, how did that make you feel?
It made me feel terrible about myself, and I didn't want to leave the house anymore.
Michelle, it's every parent's nightmare that their child gets bullied, particularly for how they look. I mean, we've got pictures that we were just seeing there of Renata before. It's not like she was bad to look at all. I mean, I wouldn't say that at all, but clearly you felt that, and you were being bullied by these other kids. How did it make you feel as her mother?
I felt very sad that she was going through what she was going through. I tried to encourage her to just feel better about herself and not pay attention to what the other kids were saying. But there was so much negativity, and that was building on her confidence and self-esteem.
See, Dr. Romo, it's a very difficult issue, this. I want to read you what a New York psychologist, Vivian Dillers, said. She's written extensively about this issue. I'm sure you're aware of it. She told NBC, "Are we saying the responsibility now falls on the kid who's bullied to alter themselves surgically? We really have to address the idea that there should be zero tolerance of bullying, and maybe we even have to encourage acceptance of differences." Do you, notwithstanding what you do, which is incredibly laudable in so many ways, do you understand that argument against it?
Well, of course. I mean, no one agrees that we should have bullying, but to think that we're going to stop bullying by attacking the bullies, I mean, it may or may not occur. But to take children who have loss of self-esteem, Renata had not been to school for 2 years because of her loss of self-esteem. She had seen a psychologist who actually recommended that she get some kind of help to change the way that she looked. The mission statement of the foundation is to take children with facial birth defects and provide them free reconstructive surgery for low-income families. And that's how she got picked. Bullying was what became recognized as we went through the process of evaluating her for a candidate of the Little Baby Face Foundation.
Right, and you don't charge for this kind of surgery, right?
No, everything, room and board, transportation to New York, along with a parent. The foundation emphasizes children from the United States. Unlike most of the foundations that go to underdeveloped countries, we take care of kids from the States, and all the fees are paid for, including surgery, and the hospitals allow us to do these surgeries.
Renata, how did you feel after you'd had the surgery and after everything had calmed down and you were back to normal but looking different, and you looked in the mirror? How did you feel?
I felt pretty good about myself. Like, I felt like I was a normal kid again, and I could actually look at myself without wanting to cry.
You also, Dr. Romo, you encouraged a slightly further step in having some chin surgery as well, so that her face would look consistent. Is that how you would describe it, or?
Yeah, Piers, that what happens is that she had a diagnosis of what was called hemifacial microsomia. One side of her face was different size than the other side. So there was actually an asymmetry in size. So in order to match up her face, her nose was twisted to the smaller side, her septum was that way, and so was the chin. So she had, in order to balance the face, not just was the septum fixed and the nose made smaller, but implants were put into her face to balance her face. And I think that she's very happy now, and we're very happy. This is all about the kids.
Is it any different to you, Dr. Romo, to say somebody born with cleft lip and palate? I know a kid, I've known him since he was 2 years old, who had a horrendous disfigurement from that particular thing, and he's had about 20 operations, and he's now a very handsome 22-year-old boy, and you'd never really know apart from a little scar here. Correct. I totally get how extensive surgery transformed his life for the better. Is it the same argument with somebody like Renata? Is it just a question of degree?
It is a question of degree, because again, what we do as a foundation, as a surgical foundation, is we take children with mild, moderate, and severe birth defects, and they go through our system of being approved by a group of physicians.
Where do you draw the line? This is what fascinates me about this, I guess. Where do you draw the line between what Renata went through, 2 years of hell, unable to go to school, being deliberately bullied for the size of her nose, and you could identify a disfigurement that needed fixing. And somebody of her age who comes to you just wants to have a slight nip and tuck, for want of a better phrase.
Well,
in other words, just a pure cosmetic thing to look a little bit better.
yeah, and performing cosmetic surgery in New York for the last 25 years, I see patients like that regularly.
What is your view of this kind of age and they want that?
Well, I mean, they have to academically be of a certain age that is acceptable for any kind of surgery like this. So girls, you're not going to start operating on them till they're 14, 15 years old. Boys till they're 17, 18 years old in this kind of surgery.
But do you have any personal, because I know you're a great leader in this, do you have any personal ethical issue about people who just want a slight correction to look a little bit prettier, rather than a genuine problem like Renata had?
Well, I mean, ethical
That's where I personally start to feel, I feel uncomfortable when it becomes just, you know, I've got a young daughter now, and she gets to 14 and says, Dad, I want a nose job, and she looks perfectly okay.
But if your daughter tells you that she's being bullied at school, you look at her and she actually has a nose that's overpowering her face,
but that's
and she has buck teeth, you're going to put braces on her, and you probably will let her get her nose job done, and that will reestablish her self-esteem. But it's not done precariously.
Right.
It's done with a diagnosis and with a treatment plan.
Renata, what's your view of these bullies now? Now that you are so happy with the way you look and you got your confidence back, how do you feel about the people who bullied you?
I just felt like in the end I'm the one who wins here and not the bullies, because they don't have any effect on me anymore. I have my confidence back, and nothing they say could ever make me feel bad again about myself.
And how do you feel towards Dr. Romo?
I feel like he's a great doctor, and his foundation is amazing. I think without it, I wouldn't be nearly as happy as I am now, and my life wouldn't be nearly as good as it is now.
Michelle, final word to you. What do you feel about all this?
I'm very thankful that this foundation is able to help children like Renata and other kids. Without their help, Renata never would have received the help that she has received.
I'll be honest with you, when I first heard about this, I think my reaction was I would be against it instinctively. Just not really into the whole concept of plastic surgery. But having met you and heard the story, I think it's very powerful. I understand why you did this, and you look beautiful.
Thank you.
So you should get out there, go see these bullies, and steal all their boyfriends. That would be my advice for you. Thank you all very much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To learn more about Little Babyface Foundation, log on to littlebabyface.org.